he threw his son out. 20 years later, he returned. Rich, subscribe Wild West Legends for more unforgettable stories. The town of Red Hollow never forgot the winter night. The Turner house became colder than the storm outside. Snow blew sideways across the plains like white knives. Wind hammered the shutters. The moon disappeared behind black clouds, and even the dogs hid beneath wagons. Inside the Turner ranch house, whiskey bottles rolled across the floor while firelight trembled on the walls. Caleb Turner stood near the table, broad once but now swollen with drink and grief. Since his wife Mary Turner died from fever 2 years earlier, sorrow had rotted into rage. He drank until dawn, gambled until dark, cursed the weather, cursed the crops, cursed the world. But worst of all, he cursed the child who looked like the woman he lost. 10-year-old Noah Turner stood by the fireplace holding a small wooden toy wagon he had carved with Mary during her final week alive. He was thin, barefoot, and shivering in a patched shirt. Yet even then he still wanted to please his father. Pa, Noah said softly, "I fixed the chicken gate," and brought water in before it froze. Caleb slowly turned, eyes red and wet. "You think chores bring her back?" Noah swallowed hard. "No, sir." Caleb roared so loudly the dishes shook. "Then stop pretending this house still has hope in it." He snatched the toy wagon and hurled through the open doorway into the snow. Noah cried out and ran after it. Caleb shoved him onto the porch so hard the child fell to his knees. Then the door slammed. The bolt locked. Noah pounded tiny fists against the wood until skin split open. "Pa, please, I'll do better. Please let me in." Inside, Caleb slid down the wall and covered his ears while tears mixed with whiskey. Outside, the storm swallowed the voice of his own son. When dawn came, silence felt worse than screaming. Caleb opened the door, expecting to see Noah curled against the wall, exhausted and freezing. There was no child there. Only drifting snow and the broken toy wagon half buried near the steps. Caleb stared so long his beard frosted white. For one brief moment, love almost won. He saddled a horse and rode to the creek road, then to the church hill, then halfway toward Miller Pass. But pride rode with him. Every mile he muttered lies to protect himself. The boy ran. He wanted freedom. He'll come back hungry. By sunset, Caleb returned alone. Noah never came back hungry. Weeks turned to months, months turned to years. Caleb lost one field after another. Gambling debts took his cattle. Drought killed the corn. A barn fire took his last horses. Friends stopped visiting. Women crossed the street when he approached. Children dared one another to touch the Turner gate and run. The ranch that once rang with laughter became a skeleton of broken wood and weeds. Yet every night, Caleb stared at the toy wagon on the mantel, after repairing it as best he could. Some nights he whispered, "Come home, boy." Some nights he set an extra plate on the table without realizing it. Some nights he lit a candle in the window, then angrily blew it out before anyone saw. Years did not punish Caleb quickly. They punished him slowly. His back bent. His hands shook. His cough deepened. He grew old in pieces. Each winter, he remembered the snow on Noah's face. Each summer, he remembered Mary's voice saying, "Be gentle with him," but memory without courage changes nothing. By the 20th year, Caleb lived on stale bread, beans, and borrowed flour. He owed money to Victor Hale, the richest lender in 3 counties, and the meanest soul in Red Hollow. Victor did not merely collect debts. He collected humiliation. He enjoyed hearing men beg in front of wives. He smiled when widows cried. He polished his boots while farmers signed away land. That afternoon, Victor arrived with 2 thugs. a silver cane, and a foreclosure paper rolled inside a brass tube. "Today," Victor announced, stepping off his horse, "I take this rotten ranch." Caleb stood trembling on the porch, in a coat patched so many times it looked stitched from 10 other coats. "Please, till spring." Victor laughed. "At your age, you'll be dead before the thaw." One thug punched Caleb in the stomach. Another slammed him against the porch rail. Neighbors watched from curtains but did nothing. Fear had boarded up their courage long ago. Caleb fell into the dirt, coughing blood. Victor strutted inside, tossing chairs, dishes, blankets, books, and Mary's old sewing box into the yard. Then he saw the toy wagon on the mantel. "Still loving ghosts," he sneered. He hurled it through the doorway, where it shattered beside Caleb's face. The old man crawled through mud and snow, gathering broken pieces with shaking hands, crying openly. Then the road began to thunder. Not one horse, many. Heads turned. Windows opened, doors swung wide. 6 black stallions pulled a polished carriage trimmed in silver through the snow-covered street. Armed riders in fine coats rode beside it. Their saddles gleamed, their boots shone. No one in Red Hollow had ever seen such wealth enter town. The carriage stopped before the ruined Turner Ranch. The door opened slowly. A tall man stepped down wearing a tailored black coat, leather gloves, polished boots, and a gold watch chain. Snow landed on his shoulders and melted there. He moved, with the calm of someone obeyed, everywhere. His face was handsome, stern, and unreadable. But there was something wounded behind the eyes. He looked first at Victor Hale, then at the thugs, then at Caleb, bleeding in the dirt beside the shattered toy. The stranger's jaw tightened. He walked forward without hurry, knelt in the snow, and lifted one broken wheel. Underneath were faint carved initials, N.T. Caleb squinted through swollen eyes. "That was my boys." The stranger stood. "I know." His voice was low and steady, "because I carved those letters when I was 10. Caleb's breath vanished. "Noah?" The man looked straight at him. "Yes, Pa." The whole town forgot how to breathe. Caleb crawled through the snow and grabbed at Noah's coat like a drowning man reaching shore. "I thought you died. I thought the wolves. I thought." Noah did not kneel. He did not embrace him. "No," he said quietly. "I lived." He looked at the broken ranch, the collapsed barn, the sagging fence line. "Better than you, it seems." Shame bent Caleb lower than age ever had. Victor Hale clapped mockingly, touching reunion. But tears don't erase debt. Noah slowly turned his head. "How much?" Victor named a number so large the crowd gasped. "Enough to buy half the farms in town." Noah smiled faintly. "That all?" He snapped his fingers. 2 servants carried forward iron cases and set them in the snow. Lids opened. Gold bars gleamed like trapped sunlight. Leather sacks overflowed silver coins. Bundles of banknotes lay stacked in rows. Women covered their mouths. Men removed hats in disbelief. Noah kicked one case toward Victor. "My father's debt is paid." Victor lunged greedily toward the gold. Noah raised one gloved hand. "Don't touch it yet." More servants stepped forward, carrying ledgers, contracts, and sealed envelopes. Noah had not returned unprepared. For months he had investigated Victor Hale's empire of fraud. The documents revealed illegal interest rates, forged signatures, farms stolen from widows, fake foreclosures, judges bribed, deputies bought, and land sold twice over. Noah handed the stack to the sheriff in front of everyone. "Do your job." The sheriff's hands trembled. For years, he had feared Victor more than he respected the law. But fear dies quickly when truth arrives with witnesses and armed riders. "Victor Hale," he announced, voice cracking. "You are under arrest." Victor screamed and lunged with a hidden knife. Before Noah moved, Caleb rose from the snow with a roar no one thought remained in him. He grabbed the broken porch rail and smashed it across Victor's jaw. Teeth flew. Victor crashed unconscious into the drift. The crowd exploded into cheers. Farmers who lost land wept openly. Widows embraced. Children laughed at the fallen tyrant. That night, by a repaired fire, Caleb finally asked the question buried under 20 years. "How did you live?" Noah stared into the flames. "I walked until I couldn't. Then I collapsed beside the road. A freight caravan found him half frozen. Its owner, widowed merchant Elias Boone, took him in, fed him, and gave him work cleaning stables." Noah learned numbers by lantern light, contracts by dawn, trade routes by memory, and discipline through hardship. He was cheated, mocked, and beaten by older men who thought an orphan easy prey. He outworked them all. By 17, he ran accounts. By 21, he bought his first grain warehouse. By 30, he owned rail contracts, cattle routes, and banks in 3 states. "Every fortune I built," Noah said quietly, "was one step farther from that porch." Caleb covered his face and cried like a child. "I killed your childhood." Noah answered, "You nearly killed more than that." Caleb expected Noah to leave after settling the debt. Instead, Noah shocked the town again. He bought every note Victor Hale owned and burned them in the square. He rebuilt seized farms and returned deeds to widows for free. He reopened the mill and hired hungry men at fair wages. Then he turned the old Turner Ranch into a home for abandoned children. Fresh beds filled every room. The barn became a schoolhouse. The fields became gardens. The dining table, once stained by liquor, now fed 30 children each night. Over the gate, Noah placed a carved sign. No chilled turned away. Caleb asked if he should leave. Noah shook his head. "Stay and work." So the old man did. He chopped wood with trembling hands, repaired fences with aching knees, served soup to children who climbed into his lap as if they had never heard of the man he once was. Every smile they gave him felt like mercy he did not deserve. Seasons passed. Noah never fully became a son again, and Caleb never fully became the father he should have been. Some wounds scar too deep, but they learned new things. They learned to sit quietly on the porch at sunset without bitterness. They learned to fish the creek Mary once loved. They learned honesty. Some nights Caleb would whisper, "I'm sorry," and Noah would answer, "I know." Other nights Noah would ask about his mother, and Caleb would tell stories until dawn. Caleb confessed the shame he carried each day after throwing him out. Noah confessed the anger he carried each night after surviving alone. Truth spoken late still healed something. When Caleb grew too weak to work, the children cared for him. They brought blankets, soup, books, and laughter into the room where rage once lived. One little boy asked, "Were you always mean?" Caleb cried before answering, "No, but I stayed mean too long." Another girl placed her hand in his and said, "You're nice now." Those words broke him more than punishment ever could. When Caleb died peacefully in the same house where he committed his greatest sin, Noah buried him beside Mary under the cottonwood tree. He placed the restored toy wagon on the grave, polished and whole again. Then he built a statue in town square, not of himself, but of a small boy knocking on a closed door. Beneath it were words all red hollow, memorized forever. Never close a door in anger. You may spend the rest of your life praying it opens again.